We're talking spring portal winners. It's been a wild month of transfers since the second portal window opened in early April. We're going to break it all down. I got the portal monster himself, Pete Nakos, in this video. We're going to talk about who won the second round of the transfer portal. But before we get into it, look at this. Can we do it? Can we hit 50K? I think we can. You guys got to help out. Hit subscribe. All right. Now let's bring in Pete Nakos. Pete, we spoke before the video, and there's 4 or 5, actually there's 6 teams here that you really like their transfer portal hauls. Now, I'm not going to have you list the favorite. I'm going to let the fans at the end vote on who won the spring transfer portal window. We're just going to talk at random. So let's start right here at the top. We'll talk Miami. Now, Cam Ward in the first round. Then you had Damian Martinez kind of headlining the second round. But if you dig a little deeper here, Miami really cleaned up in the portal.
Yeah, you look at their haul, they get Damian Martinez, Sam Brown, Simeon Barrow, Jalen Alderman, and Deontay Hale. The biggest winner, like you just mentioned right away, Josh, is Damian Martinez. The AP Pac-12 first team selection gives the Canes their number one running back. It was a position of need. But then you look elsewhere. I mean, they fill a need at defensive tackle with Simeon Barrow. They bring in Sam Brown, who's a strong compliment.
He didn't come cheap now, did he, Pete?
No. But he was not the priciest defensive tackle, and we're going to get to that later. And I really like the pickup of Sam Brown, the Houston wide receiver as well, who adds a compliment to Xavier Restrepo, who seems to – he'll be Cam Ward's number one target probably this fall.
All right, so Miami makes their case for portal class of the spring. Now let's talk Oregon. Not a ton of quantity here, but boy, is it quality.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon just brings in Derek Harmon and Peyton Woodyard, but two arguably the more impact guys we saw this spring portal cycle. I don't have an exact number for you, Josh, but there's probably somewhere between 10 and 20, you could argue, impact players, and I'd say those are two of them.
All right. Now let's talk Colorado, kind of the opposite of Oregon. They had a ton of turnover, which means they had to bring in a lot of guys. So how do you think Colorado stacks up when it comes to spring portal window?
Yeah, I was looking at the class earlier today. They bring in 2 really proven running backs, Dallin Hayden and Rashad Amos.
Big impact guys.
Big impact guys. And then on the defensive line, they bring in Ryan Buell, the Ohio defensive tackle. They also brought in the edge from Pitt, Dayon Hayes. I really like those pickups. They bring in some young guys. We'll have to see how it pans out. But Zachariah Owens from Clemson, Peyton Kirkland from Texas. Those are not 100% sure how it'll all work out with those guys, but they're both young guys and maybe a starting point for Deion Sanders to build an offensive line for the future.
All right, a lot of discussion about this portal class. Pete, in your opinion, did they bring in more talent than they lost?
I would say that across the board, they brought in more talent. I'm not saying that.
There you go, Colorado fans. There you go. We're not all haters.
I'm not. Yeah, no haters here. I'm not saying that they're going to win the Big 12 title or anything, but I think that they brought in the right pieces for an upgrade, and you can make the argument that the one big loss for the Buffs this go around was really just Dylan Edwards, who lands at Kansas State.
All right. Now, Auburn. Let's move on to the Auburn Tigers. They needed a lot in the portal, and they've been bringing in a lot. Why do you think Auburn is one of the teams under consideration for winning the spring portal window?
Auburn has completely retooled their wide receiver room, right? They bring in the Penn State receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith, arguably the best wide receiver that we saw in the portal this go around. They brought in Cam Coleman this winter. I think that they made the right moves there. And then they completely retooled the defensive line. They bring in the edge Kieron Crawford from Arkansas State, and then the defensive tackle is Philip Bliddy from Indiana, and then Isaiah Rakes from USC. And all 3 of those guys should be able to contribute right away and really like what Auburn's done there so far this spring.
All right, now Oklahoma makes your list. They kind of flew under the radar a little bit, but why do you like the Sooners class?
I really like Oklahoma because they really address the positions of need at a really like high value, right? They bring in the TCU defensive tackle Dominic Williams, who is but we had him ranked as the top defensive tackle available in the portal, and the Big 12 defensive player of the year, and then also a freshman All-American. So really like that pickup. They also add the SMU offensive lineman Branson Hickman, who has playing experience and can play right away. And then to go with Dominic Williams, they also bring in the Louisville defensive lineman Jermaine Lowell, I believe that's how you say his name. And he's a guy who maybe isn't as flashy as Dominic Williams, but has a lot of snaps under his belt.
All right, that's big for the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, UCF makes your list. Is this just kind of – are you trying to make right with UCF fans after a little debacle that happened a couple weeks ago? Or why is UCF on this list?
No, I really like UCF because I think that they got a few pieces that can contribute right away.
You got to give them a bomb for that.
Well, you got to give them a bomb. Some pieces who can contribute right away, but also – they probably bring in their quarterback of the future in the Miami quarterback, Ja'Cory Brown. I think that's a smart pickup. Gives KJ Jefferson a good backup this season, and then he has multiple years of eligibility remaining. I also really like the pickup of Penny Boone from Louisville. He's a running back who rushed for over 1,000 yards last year at Toledo, and then he's a really strong pairing with RJ Harvey. And then the last highlight you could say from that class is Nigel Kelly, the edge from Miami, who has a lot of upside, it appears.
Yeah, he was a big-time prospect out of high school. That deserves a lot of things, yeah. All right, so from your perspective, are things starting to slow down a little bit in the portal?
Things are starting to slow down. There's a few right at the top, about the top 10 available in the portal today. There's still some big names out there. I think the biggest impact guy still left on the board is former Tennessee and Louisville edge Tyler Barron. That has kind of come down to USC, Ole Miss, and Miami, but nothing really surprises me about Tyler Barron. And then I don't know what the impact's going to be, Josh, but I know everyone really wants to know where Cormani McClain
That's
is.
what we want to know. I was going to say, this isn't the on-3 recruit. This isn't the inside scoop if we're not talking Cormani McClain. So tell me, what's going on with Cormani McClain?
I talked to some people this weekend, and it's really clear at this point that Cormani McClain does not want a high-profile recruitment, which is very unlike
Since
how his
when?
high school recruitment was. Yeah. Since when? That's a great question. I don't. It's just that I talked to some people who are really helping him run this, and they just are trying to keep it on the DL.
Okay, that's fair enough. We can keep it on the DL a little bit, but anyway, all right. Back to what we all came here for. We want to know who won the spring portal. You guys in the comment section below, let me know, who do you think is the big winner for the spring portal? We got Auburn, we got Oklahoma, UCF, Colorado, Oregon, Miami. Let me know. Comment section below.
Take away the soundboard.
Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.